TipTut.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new series, A Few Minutes of Design here on TipTut. This is something I picked up at the Design Museum that I visited the other day, and there are 52 activities in here. I'm going to try and do one a week for the next year, which are supposed to get you thinking about how designs, how products are made, what their essence is, what are they built from, not in terms of materials, but in terms of things like functionality, motivation, that sort of thing. It'll make sense if I take the time to just briefly read this introduction here, so do bear with me, it is worth reading. So, what comes to mind when you hear the word design? A modernist chair or lamp, minimal Japanese fashion, an Apple iDevice. Most often we think of manufactured or built objects, functional things we need and stylish things we want, small handheld or wearable items, structures we can sit at or sit on, and containers for our stuff. Our thoughts might expand to include the architectural scale, inhabitable structures, the roof over our head, or metal volumes that enclose us in transit by air, sea, or land. Large or small, we tend to think of design things as the finished product. This can make it hard to imagine what it's like to design them. But in pursuit of their vision of these finished products, designers are preoccupied by innumerable small decisions. How to join this part to that, how to establish a pattern or continue a series, how to say something without words. How best to terminate a shape or to group or classify elements and illuminate their significance. How to determine what fits or follows the rule and what doesn't. A Few Minutes of Design is an insight into these preoccupations. The cards evoke what it's like to be a designer through a series of accessible and concise exercises. Some ask you to draw and others to write. Some ask you to classify, others to distinguish or explain. Some tasks are singular, others have several variations. All of them ask you to perform a rudimentary act of design by following plain language instructions. Although the lessons in these exercises may seem first minor in comparison to the grand vision, the killer concept or problem solved, small moves and decisions such as these have a powerful influence on the success of any design. First conceived as a set of exercises for the school classroom, A Few Minutes of Design invites anyone of any age to experience the small ways by which our world is made more coherent and intuitive by design. Take paper, pencil, and a few minutes. This is by Emily Campbell, Director of Programs, Creative Education Trust, and it seems like a really good idea. Now, to give you an idea of what we're in for here, one of these, a few examples then, would be extended family. You look at this family of symbols on the other side of this card, and you think about how the pictures have been simplified to make symbols. Are they made of solid shapes or lines? You need to then draw your own symbols to continue the series, keeping the same visual language. And when we turn this over, there's a series of simple line icons for what looks to be weather, okay? Another option could be alternative arrangements. You trace around this card 3 times, give yourself 3 frames, and then draw these elements in different iterations on the back. And there's a number of these. There's things like figuring out how perhaps 2 objects would join together, all this sort of stuff. I'm going to take these one at a time and hopefully over the next year make my way through all of them and try and give you guys an idea of what I'm thinking about when I'm doing these things. This seems like a really great way to break down designs, products, anything really, into its core elements and really understand how it works and how as designers we should be thinking to construct this stuff. Now that is a long intro, so thank you for sticking with me. I'm going to jump into this first one, and I've shuffled these a little bit. I've no idea what's in store, and hopefully if you guys want to, you can follow along and we can discover this sort of stuff together. So let's just jump right in it. Number 1, extended family. Okay, so we're all set up for our first task, extended family. Look at the family of symbols on the other side of this card. How have the pictures been simplified to make symbols? Are they made of solid shapes or lines? What visual features does each one use and what makes them a family? Draw your own symbols to continue the series, keeping the same visual language of simplification, line, shape and style as the original members. Now draw a symbol that does not belong to the family. So this seems to be a family of weather icons, or at least that's what they're trying to imply. We have thunderstorms and sun already, and we're going to have to draw night, sunny intervals, rain, snow, and strong wind, and then choose one of those which isn't going to fit in with the group. So I'm just going to mark this page as A Few Minutes of Design number 1. Look at that, we're starting a new journey. Isn't that lovely? Okay, perfect. So for me, the first thing to do would probably be to replicate the ones that we can see here. For example, we have, let me just move this over a little bit, a large bulbous circle for this cloud. the flat bottom and a thunderbolt coming out. We then have a sun, simple circle sun, with an even number of spines. Now, these are just sketches, so forgive me. They're going to be a little bit rough for the sun, like so. Now, this screams to me simplicity of line. There's no thickness variation in the lines. There's no shading. There's no detailing going on. All there really is just the simple lines and no color. So that's what we're going to try and replicate now with the rest of our symbols. So we have here thunder, and we have sunny. What we should probably try to do is nighttime. Now, nighttime, the classic one is going to be a moon. So probably a nice simple curve for the moon here, like so. Maybe even the inclusion of a star. And another thing I'm noticing here is that these all fit very nicely, if I just mark this up, within a rough cube, okay? So you can see that even the sun, all the points finish into a rough square shape. Now, obviously, if we were doing these digitally, we can make them all exactly the same. That's something we're going to have to replicate with our night. This night icon here all fits roughly into one shape. Sunny intervals then. Sunny int. To me, that would be a combination of the sun and the cloud, or perhaps without the thunder icon. Maybe we can simplify the sun even further by having it appear without its spikes, perhaps only with lines. However, that is then not consistent with the original design, so perhaps it would be best to make sure we include the lines into that design. Cloud and a sun, so that says sunny intervals to me. Rain then. Rain's quite an easy one. Again, we take our cloud. Now, obviously, this would be exactly the same in every scenario. As I am just sketching it, it's probably not going to be exactly the same. But we can take the idea of this here is obviously not supposed to have this line going through. That's just something I've messed up. So we can take the idea of that broken line and use it to draw the viewer's eye down to the rain coming out of the cloud. That could be quite a nice one. Snow then. Snow could be interesting. Again, we could do a cloud with smaller X's or circles coming out to represent snow. What I think might be quite nice, however, is a snowflake of some kind. So we could start with a nice, simple, large X with a line coming up through the middle, like so. Now we could start creating inner snowflake sections, but the key thing to these ones, to my eye, is simplicity. So we could leave it as simple as this, like so. That, to me, fits in. There's no solid shape. The rest of these have solid shapes, however. So what might be better is if we were to add something into the middle, like so, but then all of this in the middle here would not have the inner lines, okay? So this would just be a hollow shape inside of here. That perhaps would work a little bit better. Something like this, perhaps, like so. Bear with me. I may balls this up, something like so, and then it could go like this, and like this. Obviously, that's a bit rushed. All the lines don't meet, but you understand the premise. That is a simpler shape to this snowflake one. I still think this one works a little bit better, however. Strong winds then. Strong winds, perhaps, we'll do it in the style that it's supposed to be, and then we'll do it in one which doesn't fit. Now, strong winds could be something as simple as, you've probably seen something like this before, where there's a leaf, and then some kind of icon indicating wind of some kind. It could also be something more skeuomorphic, something like one of these wind cages that you've seen, even perhaps again with the strong wind indicators like so. If we were to do a strong wind that is not in this style, so these two are roughly in the style that we're going for here. One which is not in the style would have some different elements. Perhaps there would be a variation in thickness of line. Perhaps there'd be some sort of detailing. Perhaps there'd be some sort of shading. For example, if we were to take strong winds, let's use this wind gauge as an example. We could do something like start adding details of the rope pulley system, details of the ropes attaching the actual wind gauge, perhaps some subtle shading, 2 variations of color maybe, like so, blocked out sections, which none of the others have. Some more details in terms of 3D, so we can make it look a little bit 3D. Maybe it could even cast a little bit of a shadow. Now, you can already see that just through the addition of just some of these small details here, this already is starting to look like it's not part of the rest of this design. We could take it a step further even by adding some colors. Things like this are usually orange or something. So we could add in a bit of color to the design, okay? You can immediately see that this shape is starting to stand out from the rest of the others, which is great. And I think that is pretty much it. We finished our first one. Wow. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be back next week with the next iteration of a few minutes of design, where we can take this a little bit further. Feel free to give this one a go yourself. If you want to put it on social media or something like that, just make sure to tag me in and I'll take a look at it. And hopefully we can carry on. There's some really, really cool ones in here. And that's it. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time on TipTut and next time on a few minutes of design.
Remember to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Thanks for watching.